Welcome back, Beans Army, to another snippet off the Less is More Sports podcast, the college offseason podcast, where you could say we're less of the regular season, but more of the offseason. I would have gotten to this video sooner, but I was too busy being disappointed by my Miami Heat in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. However, all things considered, I am still optimistic. But that's not the topic today. Today's topic: May 31st was the deadline for players who had previously entered the NBA draft to withdraw and come back to school. As you can imagine, fans all over the country were pressing the refresh button on their social media pages to either get the news of a big-time player coming back, or that they would just have to accept the fact that their favorite team might need new production in 2023. Good news for some teams is that we are in the NIL era, where bigger name players are returning more so than in years past. For the second consecutive year, the reigning player of the year decided to come back. Keep in mind, this hadn't happened previously since Tyler Hansbrough was at North Carolina. But Zach Edey, heading back to Purdue, was far from the only big name player that returned to school. And of course, you know I got to shout out my Texas guys, Dylan Mitchell and Tyrese Hunter, for coming back. Captain Roach coming back from my Blue Devils. Arthur Kaluma and Trey Alexander from Creighton are heading back to campus, although Arthur Kaluma is looking to transfer. He's still coming back to the collegiate scene. Tristan Newton from the defending champs, Reese Beekman, almost butchered that for a second, to the Virginia Cavaliers, and many more. A lot of teams came out winners with the players that came back. But that's not what this video is about. Let's talk about a team that desperately needed some players to return, and unfortunately fell on the other side of the battle. A team that I know all too well, the University of Kentucky, a team that has had so much hype coming into this offseason. Whenever you have the number one recruiting class coming in, expectations are always high. But to reach full expectations, a lot was riding on the potential return of three key players. Let's start with the biggest name, Oscar Tshiebwe. Great 2 years at Kentucky. Won Player of the Year in 2022. However, let's not kid ourselves. He was never coming back. Freshman Aaron Bradshaw's style of play fits the system better. And he's not going to come back to a lesser role than he's been given the last 2 years. Let's be honest. So let's move on to the other name, Antonio Reeves. Now this is interesting. He did withdraw from the NBA draft. And as of right now, he is with the Wildcats, but there's a lot of speculation that he'll transfer to another school. So even then, it's not set in stone that he'll be returning to the Wildcats in 2023. This leaves the third player, Chris Livingston. Very talented player, but I wasn't high on him to dominate his freshman year, and he didn't. Just 6 points per game. Of the three players, he's the one that probably needed to come back to school the most. And in my opinion, I'm not one to tell people what to do, but I think he made the wrong choice to stay in the draft. And I think he could have gotten a bigger role at Kentucky this year, but that's just my opinion. This does not leave Kentucky in a good situation at all. Only 7 scholarship players are currently on the roster, 5 of which are freshmen. There's no hot trend in the transfer portal. No big names are looking to go to Kentucky as of right now. The leading returner averaged 7 minutes a game last year. But a lot of pressure is put on these 5 freshmen to return. But of course, this is a John Calipari coach team, right? And he's used to young teams, right? They should be fine, right? Well, maybe not. Cal is under a lot of pressure himself. The last 3 seasons of underachieving basketball has Big Blue Nation restless. Fans were telling him to leave for a popular rumored Texas head coaching vacancy up until the win over Tennessee. In a lot of ways, this is a make or break year for John Calipari. Another disappointing season in Lexington, he could be raced out of town. But what do you think? How will Kentucky do this year? Let me know in the comment section below. Follow Less is More Sports on YouTube and Spotify, and check out our social media pages on Facebook and Twitter. And without further ado, this concludes another snippet off the Less is More Sports podcast. I hope you've really been enjoying these. I've really been enjoying doing them, And of course, I can't wait for Matt and I's next full-length episode, which I think you all will really enjoy. And of course, if you haven't already, check out our latest full-length episode where we interview Xavier guard Davion McKnight and Campbellsville guard Marcellus Vale. It's a really good episode, and those guys gave a lot of good endpoints. So please check it out. But without further ado, I'm out of here, guys and girls.